Number 10, Secret Empire. Imagine being so dedicated to evil that you branch off from Hydra because you think they're just a bit too mainstream for your tastes. I've always been fascinated by the Secret Empire because they aren't trying to shoot lasers at the moon, they're trying to own the moon through a series of complex shell companies and predatory loans. They started as a Hydra offshoot, but quickly became their own thing, led by a guy creatively named Number 1, who I assume was very original at parties. Instead of giant robots, they use corporate espionage and political blackmail, which is honestly way scarier if you think about your credit score. But their absolute peak was during the 1970s, when they actually managed to infiltrate the United States government all the way up to the Oval Office. This was the famous Empire plot, where they framed Captain America for crimes he didn't commit, which is basically the superhero version of getting canceled on social media. It got so dark that the leader was heavily implied to be Richard Nixon, the president himself, who ended his own life when Cap cornered him. But my favorite part was definitely when the mess got so heavy that Steve Rogers literally quit being Captain America and became Nomad, a guy with a cape and no sleeves, which was a dark time in everyone's eyes. So why am I ranking them dead last? Because they are way too reliant on paperwork and bureaucracy. If you punch the lawyers, the whole thing kind of falls apart. They have the money and political juice, but they lack the magical mojo or alien tech to really hang with the big dogs. They are a global threat, sure, but they are fundamentally just a bunch of guys in suits who are really good at being jerks. It's hard to take a secret society seriously when their ultimate weapon is a well-placed tax audit. Number 9, Enclave. You know what happens when 4 guys with way too many PhDs and 0 social skills decide they should be in charge of the planet? You got the Enclave. They operate out of a place called the Beehive, which to some people might sound like a trendy honey-themed brunch spot instead of a fortress of doom. There, these 4 scientists, Hamilton, Morlack, Shinsky, and Zota, wanted to create a benevolent technocracy, which is just a fancy way of saying they wanted to be the smartest dictators in history. What makes them actually important, and also the reason I don't rank them lower, is that they actually succeeded in making some insane stuff. Their biggest claim to fame is creating him, who eventually became Adam Warlock, a guy who basically carries the soul of the universe in his pocket. What can I say? He's him. But when their first golden child rebelled and trashed their place, they didn't learn their lesson and immediately tried to make her, who became Kismet. Now, surely they will stop, right? Wrong. They also built indestructible androids and energy weapons that have given the Fantastic Four some serious heart palpitations over the years. However, they are ranked 9th because they are incredibly bad at the secret and society parts of their job. They are just 4 nerds who constantly get bullied by their own inventions. They don't have a real army, and their arrogance ensures that every time they build something cool, it immediately tries to kill them. They essentially have the raw power to reshape the cosmos, but they spend most of their time arguing about who gets to hold the beaker. That's why it's hard to conquer the world when your greatest creation thinks you're a total loser. Number 8, the Hand. Call me insane, but I think the Hand is the reason why every Marvel hero has had a ninja phase at some point. They started as early as feudal Japan as nationalist samurai, but then they got a bit too into the demon worship and started serving a thing called the Beast. Now, they're a global cult of undead ninjas who never seem to stay dead, which is honestly a huge logistical nightmare for the Avengers. Their biggest feat is their ability to kill a hero, bring them back, and turn them into a brainwashed puppet. They actually did this to Wolverine, which is like trying to tame a chainsaw with your bare hands. Not only that, they also turned Elektra into their leader and once took over Hell's Kitchen during Shadowland, where they turned Daredevil into a demonic warlord. The strength of these guys lies in the numbers. You could kill 100 of them, and they'll just resurrect 100 more by the next morning. Also, they are highly decentralized, so even if you take out the leader, the rest of the ninjas just keep on stabbing. What makes it even crazier is that they use dark magic to steal the powers of other super beings. Still, they are stuck at 8 because they're mostly just guys with swords and magic smoke. They don't have the global tech or the political infrastructure to run the world. They just want to hide in the rafters and wait for the Beast to show up. Number 7, Intelligencia. What do you get when you put the most insecure, brilliant, and evil people in a room together? You get the Intelligencia, a group I love because their collective ego is probably larger than the moon. This is a dark think tank started by the leader featuring heavy hitters like MODOK, Doctor Doom, and the Wizard. Their whole deal is sharing forbidden knowledge and stealing everyone else's smarts to solve unsolvable evil problems. Their biggest moment was the World War Hulks event, where they captured the 8 smartest people on Earth, including Amadeus Cho, to drain their brains. I don't know how that's even possible, but you get the point. Then they used that power to turn a huge chunk of the population into mindless gamma-radiated monsters. This part definitely shocked me, because it was a massive biological attack that nearly ended the world, all because a guy with a giant forehead wanted to feel superior. I put them at 7 because their brain power is legitimately terrifying. They can hack any network and build powerful planetary weapons. They're obviously above the hand because a world-ending virus or a gamma bomb is a lot harder to deal with than a bunch of guys in pajamas. On top of that, their scientific reach is almost limitless. However, I'm not ranking them anywhere higher because they absolutely hate each other. Dr. Doom usually only sticks around until he finds something better to do, and the rest of them spend more time backstabbing than actually conquering. They are physically frail and rely entirely on their machines, so if a hero actually reaches them, the fight is over pretty quickly. They are the ultimate example of why you shouldn't let the smartest kids in class run the world. Number 6, S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is the secret society that everyone knows about, but I think some of you forget just how shady they actually are when the cameras aren't rolling. They grew out of post-World War II intelligence, and under the white Nick Fury, yes, fun fact, he was white at first, because this massive omnipresent force with helicarriers that seem to crash every other Tuesday. While they are supposed to be the good guys, they are basically a global shadow government that is black ops, mass surveillance, and highly unethical experiments without asking for permission. And their feats are actually insane. Like repelling full-scale alien invasions and running the Life Model Decoy program, which produces androids so realistic they could probably pass a Turing test while doing your taxes. If all that wasn't crazy enough, they also built a Project Onisef, a planetary shield that keeps the Earth from being a snack for passing cosmic entities. I rank them at 6 because they have more money and resources than almost anyone else on this list. They have a standing army, the best tech money can buy, and the backing of every major government. They beat the Intelligencia because they are a stable institutional power that doesn't fall apart just because 2 scientists have an argument about gravity. However, they are held back by the fact that they are constantly being infiltrated by Hydra or bothered by pesky things like ethics and congregational hearings. You know, the boring stuff. They have the power to rule, but they are stuck playing by the rules, at least most of the time. They are the ultimate middle management of the secret society world, trying to keep the planet spinning while everyone else tries to set it on fire. Still, having a flying aircraft carrier is a pretty great way to win most arguments. Number 5, Hellfire Club. Now to the top 5. Let's talk about the Hellfire Club, which I think might be the drippiest societies of all time. These bad boys don't keep themselves secret by hiding in a cave. They hide in the most expensive penthouses in Manhattan. Originally an 18th century gentleman's club, the inner circle is now dominated by powerful mutants who use their billions to manipulate the global economy and politics. Their most legendary and absolutely messed up feat was the corruption of Jean Grey. Using telepathic illusions and psychic manipulation, they broke her mind and unleashed the Dark Phoenix, which resulted in the destruction of an entire solar system. Honestly, that is a level of doing too much that most levels can only dream of. To make things crazier, they have also funded the Sentinel programs just to keep other mutants in check while they stay at the top of the social ladder. I put them at 5 because they have a perfect blend of limitless wealth and Omega-level mutant power like Emma Frost. They're ranked above S.H.I.E.L.D. because the leaders of the Hellfire Club don't answer to anyone, and they have raw psychic and physical power that can reshape reality on a whim. On top of that, they operate in plain sight, which is the ultimate power move. However, they aren't in the top 4 because they're often more interested in hedonism and making money than actually taking over the universe. They are elitists who want to enjoy the world, not necessarily rule it with an iron fist. Just think of them as the mean girls of the Marvel Universe, but with telepathy and ancient bloodlines. I guess it's hard to focus on world domination when you have a 5-course gala to attend. Number 4, Hydra. Hydra is the gold standard of secret societies that will just not go away no matter how many times you punch them in the face. Their origins go back thousands of years to an ancient inhuman cult, but they really found their stride during World War II when they absorbed Nazi science and became the high-tech fascist nightmare we know today. One of my favorite things about them is their motto about cutting off heads and two growing back, because it isn't just a cool line, it's a literal description of their organizational structure. Their biggest feat was the Secret Empire event, where they used a cosmic cube to rewrite reality so that Captain America was a Hydra agent from the start. From there on, they actually took over the entire United States and established a totalitarian regime that nearly conquered the world before the heroes hit the reset button. On top of that, they spent decades living inside S.H.I.E.L.D's basement like a very dangerous mold, using the world's best defense network for their own evil ends. I rank them at 4 because their resilience is unmatched. They have massive armies, terrifying tech, and a level of fanatical devotion that makes anyone else on this list look like amateurs. They beat the Hellfire Club because Hydra actually wants to run things, and they have the military muscle to try it. Ultimately, they are an existential threat to the very idea of freedom. However, they are still just below the top 3 because their leadership is mostly human, and they tend to lose whenever the heroes finally get their act together. That's why I'm calling them the Almost Organization, always on the verge of total victory before a guy in a star-spangled suit ruins it. Number 3, Cabal. The Cabal is what happens when the villains realize that teamwork makes the dream work, if the dream is absolute tyranny. Norman Osborn started the group as a dark mirror to the Illuminati, bringing together heavy hitters like Dr. Doom, Emma Frost, Namor, and Loki. This wasn't just a club, it was a shadow government designed to split the Earth amongst its members. Their most terrifying feat was the Dark Reign era, where they replaced S.H.I.E.L.D. with an organization called Hammer and spent their time hunting down every hero on the planet. One of my favorite storylines ever, by the way, go read it. Later, a different version, led by Thanos and Namor, went on a cosmic killing spree during the time runs out, destroying entire alternate Earths just to keep their own reality alive. I put them at 3 because the sheer level of power in this room is staggering. You have the magic of a god, the genius of Doom, and the military might of a superpower all in one alliance. They are more powerful than Hydra because their leaders aren't just guys with guns. They are kings and cosmic conquerors who can fight gods. To make it worse, they actually succeeded in ruling the world for a significant period. However, they are fundamentally a group of sharks in a small tank. Their egos are so massive that they inevitably start stabbing each other in the back before they can truly finalize their plans. They're the ultimate supergroup of evil, but like most supergroups, they eventually break up because everyone thinks they should be the lead singer. Number 2, Brotherhood of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Most people have never heard of the Brotherhood of the S.H.I.E.L.D., which is exactly why they are so high on this list. Founded in 2620 BC by Imhotep, this group has been secretly protecting the Earth from apocalyptic threats for thousands of years. We're talking about a roster that includes Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, and Galileo. Basically, every historical genius you had to read about in school was actually a secret agent with a steampunk jetpack. Their feats are absolutely legendary in the most literal sense. Imhotep fought off a brood invasion in ancient Egypt, and during the Renaissance, Galileo used a giant and possibly advanced machine to drive Galactus away from Earth. Let that sink in. They beat the Devourer of Worlds with 15th century tech and some high-level math. Not only that, they've been containing celestial threats and suppressing world-ending inventions since before the United States was a thing. They definitely deserve the number 2 spot because their power is ancient, stable, and deeply woven into history. They have access to science that looks like magic even to modern heroes. They beat the Cabal because they are unified by a noble purpose and have a track record of success that spans millennia without ever being caught. However, they are no match to the next entry because they operate mostly in the past or from the deep shadows. While they might be guardians, they aren't necessarily the ones making the big decisions for today's world. They are the true silent protectors, ensuring humanity survives long enough to invent the internet and argue about comic books. Number 1, Illuminati. The Illuminati are the ultimate I know better than you group, and you have all the reasons to both love and get terrified by them. Formed by Iron Man after the Kree-Skrull War, this group includes Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, Professor X, Namor, and Black Bolt. They are a monopoly on the most powerful forces on the planet. The smartest man, the sorcerer supreme, the king of the oceans, the leader of the mutants, and the king of the Inhumans. Their origins are rooted in the pure hubris that they are the only ones capable of making the hard choices to save existence, and their feats are the stuff of nightmares. First off, they gathered all the Infinity Gems just to make sure no one else could. Later, during the multiverse collapse leading up to Secret Wars, they built antimatter bombs to blow up entire planets. I love that these guys are ruthless because they were willing to commit genocide on a cosmic scale just to save their own Earth. They also decided to shoot the Hulk into space because he was a PR nightmare, which led to the disaster of World War Hulk. So sometimes even the smartest men can make bad decisions. I have them as the most powerful secret society in Marvel because they have a total grip on modern reality. They don't just protect the world from the shadows like the Brotherhood, they actively shape the geopolitical and cosmic landscape of the Marvel Universe. They have the tech, the magic, and the absolute willingness to cross any moral line to get the job done. The crazy thing is that they don't even have to hide because most people wouldn't believe they exist anyway. They are the most powerful because they are the guys who the powerful people call when they are scared. It turns out that being the most powerful secret society mostly involves making really depressing decisions and being extremely stressed out all the time. But hey, at least they have the best seats in any cosmic event. That's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.